everybody, Fat Activist Gone Rogue here, and I thought I'd tune in for an update. I had my first nutritional visit out of 3 on Monday, and it went really well. So the physical stuff is I'm down a total of 18 pounds since finding out that I have tachycardia, and still have not had any caffeine, still no carbonation, still cutting out fruit juice. I'm also really carefully monitoring my caloric intake, which is kind of obnoxious because I feel like I'm eating so much more food, but I'm so hungry all day long. Oh my gosh. I'm quitting smoking, which was, I feel like when I have a reason that I can't be smoking, like I'm in the hospital or I'm on oxygen or I have bronchitis or whatever, not smoking isn't hard at all. Now that I'm making a conscientious decision to not smoke, it is a lot harder. And yesterday was easier than today because yesterday I was like, okay, I'm broke. I smoked my last cigarette. I don't have any money to go buy any more. We're just going to have to deal with it. And today I'm like, it's payday. I got paid. I have money for cigarettes. But I'm going to make it through. I'll be okay. So last night I met with the therapist that I'm going to be speaking to, whose specialty is weight loss. And she was excited for me to have the vertical sleeve gastrectomy. And I was, who I am, which is to say that I'm excited sometimes and less excited other times. Yesterday was one of the days that I was feeling less excited, but I've been told many times that I have meticulous metacognition. I understand most of the time why I'm thinking what it is that I'm thinking. And yesterday I started diving into the stuff of, will people who have looked up to me about fat acceptance think that I'm a traitor, or do I think I'm a traitor and I'm projecting it onto this invisible audience that's betrayed? I feel 2 ways about that. One, at the end of the day, my stance on fat acceptance has not changed. Fat people, whether they are healthy or unhealthy, whether they diet or don't diet, whether they have weight loss surgery or don't have weight loss surgery, whether they have ever experienced stigma or haven't experienced stigma, whatever, fat people are deserving of basic human decency. I don't feel like this is an incredibly radical idea, but apparently it is. And so I tell myself that I am not the person who thinks that I'm a traitor. That it is a perception that I will be judged by the world out there that I'm a traitor. Because I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people in the fat acceptance movement question those who get weight loss surgery as though they weren't really dedicated to fat acceptance. And maybe if they had done more work on loving themselves. And why would you want to change being fat if there's nothing wrong with being fat? And I don't know that anybody who's ever looked up to me for fat acceptance, well, frankly, I don't know that there's anybody who has ever looked up to me for fat acceptance. Maybe this is all just ego talking. But I don't know if there is any of these hypothetical people who have looked up to me would look at weight loss surgery that way. Because I don't know that I've ever looked at weight loss surgery that way. I've often thought, like, much like plastic surgery, it's your body. You should do what you want with it. It wasn't a choice for me right up until it was. And I don't think there's anything wrong with pursuing weight loss surgery. I don't think it changes your canon as a fat activist. So now I'm still trying to do the work of, am I projecting or am I really afraid? Because generally speaking, I'm not a person who very much cares what people think of me, unless you're really, really close to me, and that's a whole different story. So if I am projecting, why am I projecting? Why am I afraid that I'll be seen as disloyal to fat activism? Why am I afraid that I'm letting some imaginary person down by making this choice? Basically, why am I afraid of letting myself down by making this choice? And I could get into a lot of things at this point in the video, going into replaying my mother's story and her story of being a failure and her story of hating her fat body becoming my story of failure and my story of being in a fat body. And I could also go to the place of what's it called? Imposter syndrome stuff. Have I always secretly wanted weight loss surgery and I just pretended not to so that I could be more well liked within the fat acceptance? There's a lot of like pathology that I could get into right here that is probably all true and false to some degree. I don't know that one answer is more true than another. I think that it's partially that I'm afraid that I'm a sellout. I think it's partially that I'm afraid that people will think I'm a sellout. I think it's partially reliving my mother's trauma. I think it's partially the imposter syndrome. But I also think that I'm nervous, and I think that stuff we talked about last week of giving up control is affecting my ability to clear my head out and to make sense of some of the muddled stuff in there, because in giving up control, I don't feel safe to express all these nuanced little ideas. Which is one of the reasons that I asked the therapist yesterday. If you're interested, her name is Cindy Unger. She seems really nice. I've talked to her a couple times. I asked her to give me homework assignments to help sort out some of the stuff in my head. I always do better with assignments anyways, and I don't want to think about myself as a person who uses worrying about triggering others or being perceived as a betrayer or any of that stuff as a cop-out for doing what I need to do at this point. What I'm hoping for is that because my mind is already made up to do the surgery, that my emotions sort of catch up eventually. And that's not happening yet, but we're early on in the process. So right now left, I have an upper GI endoscopy on the 26th. And then on, I think, July 26th, I have my second dietary meeting. And then on August 14th, I have my third dietary meeting. And at that time, I will have to do a blood panel. And then shortly after that, I'll start the 2-week liquid diet, which that sounds super fun. But, I guess the long and the short of it is I have a lot of stuff to work out before I get surgery. And I think like there's this part of it that you have to have a psychosocial evaluation. What they really want to hear is, are you stable enough for surgery that's going to be life-altering? And I don't think either my therapist or my psychiatrist would say no to that. But I think that I will be more successful if I work out some of the stuff that's up here before I work out the stuff that's here. I'd like to go into surgery feeling at ease with my decision, not experiencing a lot of cognitive dissonance, and being set psychologically on the path to continue working upward rather than having to stay and process a lot of trauma while trying to move my body forward. So if you have any questions, feel free to write in. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, updating you guys about the practical stuff and informing you guys about the mental stuff as we go along. And thanks so much for tuning in. Bye.